It might be good if the rates are high, and it might be good if they go lay down, and it might be good if we build this ship, and it might be good if we scrap this ship, and it might be good with a GRI, and it might be good with a PSS by, and it might be good if we go decarb, and it might be good if we do it right, and it might be good if we make it fit, and it might be good if we go for it, and it might be good if we synergize, and it might be good if we solve this now. Hey!
Dean, good day.
Good day.
How are you?
I'm good.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Wonderful. So, often I start by asking the guest to describe him or herself in as many or as few words as you want. Ready for that?
Okay. I can try. I can try. I don't know, how you want me to start in terms of which period or which era, but I think as a person, right? People tend to see me as someone who look very serious, and because I look serious, not as approachable, especially if they're seeing me for the first time. It's only when they get to know me, then somehow the relationship will start, and then often the relationship will be a lasting one, because that's how it goes. So people tend to see me as a principal sometimes. Or they call me a professor. So in often in formal setting, either workplace or in for example, as a Singaporean, we serve the army as a reservist. So I do have exercises, right? And I will hold certain appointment, and then they will come to me for the serious stuff, planning, advice, approval. But when they go for their rest and recreation, they will never involve me because I look too serious for them. They feel too uncomfortable. So that's how it is. It tends to be the case. So that's really what they often have the impression. But typically, I enjoy talking to people. Yeah, and I value friendship. So oftentimes in a relationship, I'll be the one that make the contact. First, I'll make an effort to keep in touch with friends, but sometimes you can get tired when there's no reciprocal kind of reaction. Yeah.
Thanks for sharing that. Where does your story start? Singapore?
Yes, I'm a true blue Singaporean, so I'm born here. Yeah. So as an individual, maybe a little bit of my background in terms of my upbringing. So I'm the eldest son of the family. I have 3 other siblings. I'm also the eldest grandson, which in the Chinese culture, you're considered the youngest son of your grandmother.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. So oftentimes, the sense of responsibility is very heavy on me because I'm expected to look after my siblings when they're young, and to always deputize my parents whenever they are not around, to make sure that all my siblings are safe. Yeah, so that's how I'm brought up.
That's a tough responsibility for a kid. Okay.
Yeah.
What was when you were a young kid, what was your childhood dreams job?
I always wanted to become an architect.
Architect,
yeah. I remember that when I was in secondary school, we have a lesson on perspective drawing. Yeah, perspective drawing. And the perspective drawing, at a point in time, I tend to focus a lot on drawing bungalows.
The bungalows, yes.
Yeah. So I often would like to cycle to a private estate, take a look at different bungalows to get an idea, and then I'll draw my own, vision of the kind of bungalow that I like. And I enjoy doing that. And in fact, a few pieces of my drawing were selected for display at the school library.
Okay. You still remember that?
Yeah,
That's nice.
so I wanted to be an architect at a point in time. Yeah, but it didn't turn out that way.
Okay.
Yeah. And the reason why I didn't turn out was because I had to apply for a scholarship for my university education because families was then too poor to support me. And if they were to support me, then my siblings would not have the resources for their education because our age gap is all about 1 year difference.
Okay.
Yeah, so I had to take up this scholarship, and this scholarship did not support architecture program. So I ended up taking an engineering course.
Oh.
So I had to forgo my architecture dream. Yeah. But I continue to pursue my architecture interest, this time around by proxy. So I bought a Lego architecture studio.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I use the Lego set to build whenever I'm free. Build my own version of buildings. Kind of therapeutic. I'll do it after work sometimes in the wee hours when the family members are asleep. Then I'll just start building, and I'll draw. Then I'll use my own imagination, come up with my own drawing, and then from there I'll build based on my drawing.
Okay. You still do that today?
I still do that today.
Oh, wow. That's excellent.
Yeah, that's kind of like my hobby.
So you went to engineering school then?
Yes, I went to engineering school, specialized in mechanical engineering.
Okay. Can you make for me bridge the gap on the Dean that I know today and the young man going out of engineering school, mechanic? What happened in between?
So I would have to start by letting you know what kind of scholarship was that and from which organization.
Yeah.
So that scholarship was an Army scholarship. Yeah, so Army gave me a very good scholarship. They paid for my entire university education. And while I'm studying for 4 years in NUS, National University of Singapore, I was fully paid. I draw a salary.
Okay.
The only catch is that every time when there's a school vacation, I need to go back to camp to serve. So I had no holidays. So when I graduated from university, I went back to the organization to serve a 6 years bond.
Okay.
And a 6 years bond, I was a combat officer. So nothing to do with mechanical engineering. It was mostly management. It was mostly field appointments and staff appointments. So, but the engineering education allowed me to be very analytical. Right, I love mathematics, so that's something that I enjoy doing. I've always aced all my mathematics subjects. So that training gives me that logic. It helps me to be very analytical when I look at things. It helps in my planning. It helps in the way I conceptualize. I come up with framework. So that training was useful. And then when I went for my next upgrade in my education, I went into business. So I got a business master's in business administration, and then subsequently I got a doctorate in business administration. So that shift from mechanical engineering to business prepared me for management roles. So today I'm a dean, and most of the time I deal with policy, I deal with design, I deal with processes, I deal with developmental work. So I deal with leadership, managing the team. So that's sort of and then coupled with an analytical mind that helps me to have a little bit more holistic in the way I look at things. Yeah. So it's not gone to waste, I must say.
Yeah.
It has helped me to to develop different capabilities in between.
Okay. Did you always work in corporate, or have you tried entrepreneurship ventures?
So I have a few exposures.
Okay.
I started, as I mentioned, in a uniform service, and then when I completed my scholarship bond, I left. I went into education. So I was a lecturer in a tertiary institution.
Okay.
And then from there, I got involved in a project with a university, which eventually won a national competition, business plan competition, that attracted the interest of a corporate who wanted to invest in the project. That's how I came out to be an entrepreneur.
Okay.
Yeah, so from there I went into entrepreneurship, and that entrepreneurship is in the multimedia industry. And I did that for a couple of years, from one entrepreneur venture to another. starting with the multimedia. Then I went into education services, where I was operating in India. I set up shop in India, and then I import the India talent into Singapore, and then I place them into the companies. These are mostly IT professionals.
Uh-huh.
That was a second venture. And then from there, another corporate investor was interested in my skills. Then I went and joined them to start a third venture. That was into computer games development.
Really?
Yeah. And that company is still in operation. It's called Playway Studios. I'm a co-founder together with my colleague from Delhi. He's now a Singapore PR. He's now running the show. I'm the advisor to him now.
Any game I may know?
Sorry?
Any game name I may know?
Well, probably not. The reason why is because it is serious gaming.
Oh.
So education games and serious games. Serious games are basically very project specific, very industry specific games to train people in a particular field. So we are into banking, we're into healthcare, and we are also into the Ministry of Education, teaching the student how to do game-based learning. In fact, we started the game-based learning trend in Singapore with all the schools.
Wow, I didn't know that.
You didn't know that?
No, not at all.
I ran that company. I started a company back in 2004. Yeah. From there, when I left the organization because of higher calling, I was headhunted to help start up the Singapore Institute of Technology. So I was their first CAP program director to set up the university. That was back in 2010. Yeah. So the games company continued to be managed by my co-founder Siddharth Jain. Yeah, and he's still running it today. And he has evolved. He has gone to mobile games, the full suite of serious games that it is right now. Yeah.
I'm learning a lot right now. It's very cool.
Yeah. So from SIT, then I went into statutory board, government service, workforce development agency, which subsequently split into SkillsFuture Singapore and Workforce Singapore.
Okay.
I was there for 4 years. Yeah, involving in ops planning, and also and was also involved with Institute for Adult Learning, which is part of WDA at that point in time. Yeah, so I've hopped from uniform service to education to entrepreneurship, then went into the government sector, and then from WDA I joined the National Council of Social Service. I was also into social service. I ran the Social Service Institute for 7 years as a director.
Wow.
Yeah, before I came over to PIL.
How many lives did you have?
Well, in a way, I was involved in many sectors, all first time, so I have to learn the skill set. So actually, before PIL, I have a short stint in the supply chain industry.
Okay.
Yeah, so I was there for about close to 2 years before I joined PIL. So every industry was new to me, and every industry I had to learn. So initially, there's always a steep learning curve. So in that sense, I am not adverse to different industry. It doesn't matter to me. Yeah. So that kind of exposure has allowed me to be a little bit more open to different industries and not fearful. Yeah. So you asked me how many lives? I think there are many lives.
Yeah, 5 or 6 at least. Okay.
Yeah.
Do you have a modus operandi, a toolbox that you know, or routine that you apply when you come into a new industry like that?
Yeah. Maybe, yeah, you can call it a toolbox in the sense that typically I would prepare myself for the industry by reading up. I would try to visit organizations that are open for me to sort of network with them. I will try to involve myself in some of the gatherings of the industry, just to learn a bit more about what the industry is all about. Yeah, to get a little bit of the sensing. But most of the learning will happen when I'm on board, to be honest.
Of course.
And what I try to do is to get to know a lot, as many people as I can from different business division, to try to understand what they do. Yeah. So in PIL, it's the same. When I try to talk to many of you who are more experienced than me, I'm new into the maritime, and yet at the same time, I'm supposed to run the PIL Academy supposed to develop curriculum meant for the maritime industry. So I had to do a lot of research on my own. Yeah, and from there, try to catch up. Yeah.
Okay.
So that tends to be a way of doing it. And of course, if I do not get, so for example, typically like course development, right? Ideally, I should get the course content from the different business division in that different specialization. But if they are too busy to give me time because of limited bandwidth, typically I would not just sit around to wait. So this is what happened here. I would order textbook from Amazon, I'll read up, and I'll develop the content by referencing the some examples from across the globe from different organizations and come up with a structure. Then I'll go back to the business division. I'll say, okay, this is what I've done. Right? Does it make sense to you? Right? And then from there, hopefully by doing some work, right, they will be able to have some place to start to guide me rather than to wait for them to guide me, which they may or may not know how to start in the first place.
Do you think your PhD helped you to have that structure approach of a
I
researcher?
I think so. I think PhD gives me the, I help you to be very disciplined, right? And to have that strong internal, what do you call it, internal locus, right? To know, to be self-structured, to plan. Yeah. And to take the initiative rather than to wait for people to tell me what to do. Yeah.
Okay, so networking, research reading, and taking the first step.
Yeah. Well, I mean, bottom line is we have to do our own due diligence. We have to build our network so that we can leverage on the network. And the idea of that network is really to extend and get to know more people so that you can learn from them.
Okay.
Yeah.
You have said two words that I love and I like to discuss is discipline, just mentioned, and a bit earlier, I think creativity. You seem to be a very creative gentleman from your early age, still now. It's something that I ask very often because I still rattle with it a bit. Do you see creativity and discipline being opposed?
Personally, I don't think so. I know most of the time people think that creative people are very disorganized. They don't like to be limited. But I think for creativity to be useful, it has to be purposeful. And for anything to be purposeful, you need to have discipline. Yeah. So to me, even the very act of creativity requires certain discipline to get involved, right? It requires commitment. You have to try, and then if it doesn't work out, you have to continue trying. And that perseverance requires a little bit of discipline to push that. Right? So you need to be determined. Right? You need to persevere. You need to be resilient. All this requires discipline. So to me, I see this discipline as part and parcel for creativity to flourish. So I don't see that as opposing. I see that as reinforcing.
Interesting. I have a quote in mind that says something along the lines, I'm paraphrasing obviously, but creativity without purpose is just a waste of time and energy. I think it links a bit to what you said. Okay. So when you get into a new industry and you move from army, corporate, entrepreneurship, corporate, what goes through your mind? Are you afraid?
I think to some extent there will be some fear. It's just like when I came over to, when I came over to PIL, even before PIL was a supply chain, I was a CEO of Supply Chain and Logistics Academy. I left a very comfortable place, government service. I've been there for 7 years. My social service institute has been running very smoothly. Processes are already in place. So literally I can just close one eye and let my staff run the show. I have 60 over staff, So a lot of people ask me, why do I want to leave a comfortable place to go into a new environment? So yes, it's true that I've been very comfortable, and then now I got to start something new and in the private sector where things may go very wrong. So yes, I do have some fear, but because maybe in my years in my own professional experience where I tried many different things in many different sectors, the fear is not sufficient reason for me not to do something different. And that allows me to take a step forward into the unknown territory. Because I think one of the things that to me is important is growth. So when I'm in the same place for very long and I don't see myself learning new things, that's where I'll feel very edgy and I'll feel very uncomfortable. So I'm uncomfortable in a very comfortable environment, if you know what I mean. And I'm uncomfortable because I'm not learning new things anymore. Yeah, so that's one. Secondly, despite my age, I think I still have a lot of drive to do something very different.
Clearly.
And sometimes that move to a new place is more aspirational than anything else. Yeah. So I think that the entrepreneurial passion within me is still there. I like to build something from ground up. So I tend to enjoy myself a lot when I have to start something new. Right. So in Social Service Institute, I started education innovation. I transformed the whole classroom into online learning. And that was before pandemic.
Okay.
And then when pandemic happened, everything all fall in place. Whereas when I was doing it, I experienced a lot of resistance.
I imagine.
When I run Playware Studio, it was from ground up. I built the team up. And PIL Academy is also from ground up because there wasn't an academy before. And I found myself enjoying doing that rather than to come in and do something that's already been there and then have to take orders and align. I find myself not functioning very well when my direct boss had limit what I do. Yeah. So in that sense, once I reach a certain point, I feel that I'm no longer growing. Then this is where I will be very edgy about, staying, and I would like to move on to do something different. So I think the aspirational, the passion is still there to prompt me to want to try something new, despite the fact that it requires a lot of energy and things like that.
Okay, that's great. I'm asking because I think a follow-up question I have in mind, or the context of why I'm digging that with you is, especially when we are young, I think we tend to be afraid to resign of a company and go into something new, follow a partner abroad also. I have friends that are in this situation right now, discussing. It's interesting how, at least maybe, the first time might be more impressive, but with time we may be getting used to it, maybe. I think it depends on the individual. But there is, when I hear you, I feel that there is a different weight between, as you said, your driver of growth and aspiration of ever learning, and the fact that yes, it's uncomfortable also to leave. There is a part of unknown, but the fear of that doesn't outweigh it. Not to go too psychological on the matter, but how do you reconcile this, the fact that you get edgy and you want to ever learn, and so you will seek opportunities to learn more than anything, and the fact that, as you said, you are the elder son of a family and you had to take care of people, I'm sure, all your life, and I'm pretty sure you do still today, which requires some form of stability, right? So how does that echo in you?
Yes. So it wasn't easy, and when I decided to become an entrepreneur, I wasn't a bachelor. I was married, and I had at a point in time I have 2 young kids.
Okay.
So I was always very mindful of my responsibility. My wife she still is a homemaker, so it's single income. So one of the things that weighs very heavily in my mind is that whatever that I do, right, my responsibility for a family must not be, must not be ignored,
risk,
right? And their lifestyle must not suffer because of me. So that was the baseline that I draw. That was like something like a watermark, the waterline, right? I can try everything on top, but I cannot try anything below because it will poke holes and the ship will sink, right? So that, and I think probably like what you just mentioned, it has been very much my upbringing. This thing about a responsibility weighs very heavily in my heart. So with that as a baseline, then whatever that I do, right, I will have to maintain and make sure I observe that. So when I stepped out to become an entrepreneur, then obviously my salary there will be a certain cut. there will be a certain amount of uncertainty. So that's where I had to take 2 jobs in that sense. Meaning to say that I did my entrepreneurial venture, and I taught in a university, right, to supplement my income. So that as far as my family is concerned, the income is still the same, but I had to work harder. I had to do 2 jobs. So that was always the kind of consideration that if I want to do something different to pursue my interest, how do I take care of my back end? Right? If I want to pursue my interest and my back end had to sacrifice, then I'll take a step back. So the risk has to be calculated, right? And part of the equation for consideration is that whoever that will be affected by the decision, their interests will have to be weighed before I make the step. So and that governs everything that I do. When I shift from one industry to another, one role to another, the same principle, the same consideration will also be made. Yeah. And only when I've taken care of all this consideration, then I'll make the next move. Yeah. And different phases of my life, the consideration will be different in terms of the degree and the weightage, but the same consideration in terms of the baseline remains the same.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah.
What would you say to somebody that is hesitating to take the jump, to change, job, industry? What would you say to them?
So if the individual is young and he has not many responsibility, I will encourage the individual to be adventurous, right? To be willing to take on new challenges, because that's a time that you can try things without too much of burden or without too much of consideration that will pull you back. But so when you're young, you should try new things. As you get more mature and as your responsibility comes in, you have a family, then it is important to discuss with your family. It's important to get the support of your spouse. I think that's important. I mean, if you are, whether it's your husband or it's your wife, that communication must be there. And you mustn't, because of your own passion, ignore your spouse's concern. So that would be my advice to them. And also, but that should also not be a reason why you should not try new things.
Yeah.
Because the older you become, the more the inertia for you to want to do change. So I have friends who my peers, they have been in the same organization since day one. Since day one. Same organization, perhaps their role has changed a little bit, maybe there's a little bit of rotation, but they never left the organization. So to them, when they look at me at this age and I'm still changing, they were wondering, Victor, what are you doing? Right? They will never do that. They told me they will never do a change now. Right? If only they are younger, and they are all younger than me. And even people who are younger than me by 10, 20 years, they are also very conservative. So I guess it's also because they have never tried, they have never planned. And they have not been very intentional about change. So if you're not intentional about change, and then when they have to change, not of their own free will, they'll get dislocated.
Yeah. Yeah. I see that too. Okay. You're very inspirational, if I may say. Your sharing is is lighting a few fuels up there.
Thank you.
I'm thinking of all my friends and my peers in the industry, of course. Was there one or two persons that have inspired you and mentored you along the way?
Okay. Not so much of mentoring me, but I looked up to them.
Okay.
And I listened to what they say, for example. And sometimes it's that spark that comes. So maybe I'll share one example. When I was in secondary school, I have a senior that's only about 1 year older than me. All right, very bright guy, and we were in secondary school we had this uniform kind of a club.
Yes.
So I belongs to the National Police Cadet Corps, NPCC, right? So he was my senior, and I remember at the point in time I was in secondary 2. In Sec 2, we were supposed to decide on which stream to go into, science stream, technical stream for Sec 3.
Yeah.
And I told them that I was just lamenting in front of him one day, after drill, seated there and I say that, I don't find the curriculum interesting, right? And I don't enjoy what I'm doing. He told me something. He said that he faced the same struggle when he was choosing his electives, and he didn't like all the electives. And then he said, Victor, but I told myself, he was say, if I can do well in the things that I do not like, can you imagine when the time comes for me to do things that I like, how much will I have excel? So his challenge for himself is that, never mind if it's something that you're not interested, right? Just do your best and do well. Use that as impetus, right? For you to look forward to the next opportunity where you can chance about something that you like, and then from there you take and run. That came, and it just opened up my mind. It was just and he was only 1 year older, and Sec 2, I was 14. He was only 15. A 15-year-old telling me this, or he eventually became a President Scholar. Yeah, but that philosophy has kept me all this while. So that's number one. And I've been very inspired by just that spark of wise words from him that kept me. And that has become a motivation for me. And then when I was in pre-university, right, at junior college, that's where I was, my parents told me that we don't have resources to send you to university. So just go and get a diploma and come out and work. And that was very disheartening when I was about to take my A-levels. And then when I went into national service, they spotted me and they offered me to the scholarship. And the scholarship says that you have to sign 10 years. 4 years study, 6 years born, right? At the age of 19, I'm supposed to sign a contract that's 10 years. So I was hesitating.
Fair.
My dad, so one day I was at the living room. I told my dad, I hesitate to sign. It's very long. Then my dad was very philosophical. He seated there and said, because he was once a successful businessman, and then his factory got burned down. So, in order to support a family, he became a bus driver. He said, son, I didn't like to be a bus driver. But just blinking of an eye, it's been 10 years, right? Well, it's sometimes 6 years, 10 years is nothing, right? So, and that again was an eye-opener. That sometimes in life, you may have to take the hard choices, but once you make the decision, just be committed, fulfill the requirement, and can move on, right? Do not let the number of years become a deterrent. So, and through the years, I enjoy reading. So I mostly non-fiction, and there are some inspiring leaders. They are like my mentor, but on the book.
On the book.
Yeah, and I will learn from their experiences and use that to inspire myself.
Do you have a particular quote in mind when it comes to maintaining this gap and this
A quote,
mojo of you? Yeah, one of your favorite quotes. When you talk about those written mentors.
Wow. Offhand, I cannot remember.
It's fine. If you do remember after, let me know.
Yes, I'll
Right.
do that. I'll do that. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You have had many hats, so it's hard to ask you the question, but I will select one job. Working in maybe education in a large sense, right? You've been teaching, you created content, you created support and different medium to communicate and educate. Something I'd like to do through this podcast is to make people discover the jobs. Right? So have had a purchaser, headhunter, cost controller, commercial, all those. And I would like to continue with you. When you think about teaching, educating, and creating learnings, what are the kind of qualities that somebody should have? What makes an individual perform and thrive into this discipline?
I think if you are involved in education, or of course for the adult, it will be training related kind of roles. I think it's important that you must have a heart for people, right? It means deep within you, you are. I see myself as an educator, right? And to me, I feel that to be a good leader, you must be a good educator, because a leader needs to lead, right? And in order to lead, you need to guide, you need to educate, so that people understand. If you cannot lead and you cannot guide, you cannot guide and you cannot educate, then you can't lead. So I see leadership and having an educator heart as a twin engine. It is very closely linked to one another. So when you teach someone or when you look into training role, you must have the person in mind. You must have the interest of the individual in mind. What will help the individual to be a better person, right? And how through your involvement as a trainer or as an educator or even as a facilitator, how can you pave the way for the person to become better as a result of you imparting that knowledge? I think that is very important. If you don't have that, it is very difficult for you to put in the effort to try to find ways and means to communicate, because some students, they are very bright, they get you. But some who are a little bit slower, they may not understand, they'll test your patience. And if you don't have a heart for people, it's very difficult to garner the patient to guide the individual.
So would you call that empathy?
Empathy is very important. Yes, definitely.
Okay.
You need to have an empathy for the people that you're dealing with.
Is discernment also a word you will use here?
Discernment comes in when you have to, when you look at an individual and you're trying to figure out what are the challenges that the individual is facing, that you can then guide you in terms of shaping the approach that you're taking in order to help the individual to overcome. So yes, you need to exercise discernment in that regard. Yeah.
Okay. What are more the, I don't like the word so much, but my English is limited, the limits of, or the challenges you face most when you do this type of job?
Well, sometimes good intention may not be appreciated, right? And learners, when they come into your environment, they may not have the right motivation to learn. Sometimes they can be very transactional. They just want to get the grades, for example, for students. Or for adults who comes for training, they just want to complete the training so that they can get the bosses out of the way because they were asked to come. And because of that, they will not respond to you. And sometimes these are people that are a disruptor in a class that will affect others. So I think that is a challenge. How are you going to make sure that you can still try to change your mindset if you can? If not, at least not allow them to disrupt the class. Yeah. So I think there are many incidences of many encounters that I've faced, especially in a university where students tend to be very transactional in today's context, right? They will appear in front of you, they will try to get air time, not because they really want to learn, they just want to make sure that I remember them, right? And then once they get their grades all finalized, I become transparent to them, in campus.
Yeah.
Yeah. So sometimes those can be very discouraging, and if you're not strong and not clear about your purpose of getting involved and why are you still doing this, you can be easily be discouraged by such behaviors. So I think it's important for us that we must be very clear, why are we doing this? Right? Like, why am I still teaching in university when I have a full-time job? Why do I need to rush on to university after my corporate role just to subject myself to such treatments where I don't need to, right? So if you're not clear why you want to do this and you don't have a passion for people, then it's hard to garner the energy to want to do this for a long term. Yeah.
All right. Thanks for sharing. Yeah. Do you see that the way you have been performing education has changed along the years? We have often in the old Europe, we still are stuck with this model, I believe, because I've not been to school for many years. This model where you have a teacher and you have 30 students and they have to listen obediently and, is that the model in Singapore today and was it 30 years ago?
Well, it has changed. Certainly, it has changed a
Yeah.
lot, right? In the past, it's very one-directional, and I say you do, the kind of concept. I download, you just accept what I tell you. So I rule the classroom. Today is very different. Today, the students are very vocal. They are very interactive, and they need the airtime, right, to voice out their opinion. And some will question you, right? Today, they will not be attentive in class to you alone. We are speaking, they are on their computers. So they may not be listening to what you want to say. They only want to listen to things that make sense to them or that interest them. So most of them have itchy ears. They want to hear things that they want to hear. They form their opinion about the professors very quickly, either by looks or behaviors, or maybe even by the way you present yourself. And all this will affect them because they're so connected, they're so distracted that, they won't give you 100% attention unless you give them the kind of value that they're looking forward to. So it's very challenging.
It's very different.
Very, very different, yeah. And they'll interrupt you in the midst of your delivery to stop you, cut you off, and say, can you just go back to the other slide? Right? There's this point here that I disagree, and they'll ask you, and they'll challenge you. So it's a very challenging environment now. Everything can be authenticated. You cannot bluff them. You cannot make up because you'll straight away Google and then they'll find.
Yeah.
So I think that's the first challenge. Students are very exposed. They are very empowered, right? And bright students are even more vocal, and they are also very entitled mindset that they have. So that's one challenge. I think the other challenge that we have is the demand on the educator, right? The kind of demand on them to deliver and the extent in which they're supposed to deliver. So take, for example, it's not just enough to give the knowledge. You also need to provide them with exposure. You need to design the curriculum. They are interactive. Medium has to be very rich in terms of content and also multimedia. And the other challenge also, when it comes to assessment, you need to, it cannot be the standard rudimentary assessment anymore. The assessment must be catered that allows them to, that allows you to test their critical thinking and things like that. Yeah, so, and to assess whether the students are giving you content they are from them or from elsewhere is another challenge. So this is where the topic of AI comes into the picture.
Yeah.
Now it's so easy to get the Gen tools, right? Gen AI tools to help them. And you have a challenge now in evaluating whether is this really from them or is it from the AI that they are so-called abusing the tools for.
How do you do then?
So sometimes you can't run away from the fact that they're definitely going to use AI.
Sure.
So this is where, of course, we have learning management systems that have certain built-in tools that will test for plagiarism. They will also flag out AI-generated content.
Okay.
Yeah. So those are the first layer where you do the first filter. And then from there, you for those that you single out as submission, they are highly the AI generated content. Then you may have to have a session to interview them to validate, because sometimes they use AI tools because the command of language is not strong, right?
Okay.
And they can't write. They can't write well, so they use AI to help them to write. But ideas are from them, and they're very clear about concept. So then these are mitigating reasons that you can only suss out when you have a face-to-face interview. Yeah. So because we have students from across the globe, and some of them, the English is not their native tongue, so they may struggle. So they may use AI to help them to form the ideas together. But actually, ideas come from them. Yeah. So we will have to. This is the earlier word that you use. Discernment comes in. Professional discernment. From there, you can see whether is it consistently the case for this individual. So you can see actually there's a lot of demand. You need to spend time, right, marking and then thinking through. Yeah. So those are quite. Yeah.
Can
be very draining.
Yeah, right. I think it's you said it very well, and I think in the business world very soon it's going to be draining to be a manager, a team lead,
Yeah.
because shout out to the Gen Z, but this new generation is extremely different.
Mm.
And I'm born in 1990, right? So I'm a Y or a millennial, whatever. But the new generation is so different. And I sense also, we were talking about giving them airtime. I call it is a main character energy, you know? They are also first person character game minded, right? They are the hero of the story.
Yeah.
There's no doubt in their mind for that.
Yeah. Yeah.
They don't realize that, they are all, but
Yeah.
it's going to be, I mean, I'm fine with challenge. I love challenge. I love disagreeing to some aspect. But this needs to be put to good use, right?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Their attention span is very short. And because of that, it's also translated into their behaviors. They don't stay in a role long enough for them to build. And I think this is something that I always caution the young people, especially for my students from university when they graduated from their basic degree. I always tell them that first 2 or 3 years you can move jobs pretty quickly simply because you're not sure what you want. So you try this out, you try that, etc. But you can't do that forever. You can't do that for the next 10 years.
Yeah.
At a certain point in time, you have to settle down in an organization and then start to build your track records, build your portfolio. And for you to have any significant contribution, in my own past experiences, you need to stay in an organization for at least 3 years. That's how that was a kind of sharing that I gave them. Now, of course, I do recognize that there could be an exception, but to me,
always.
For things to really build, you have to stay long enough, like 3 years. Because first year is, sensing around. Second year, you try to experiment. Then third year, that's where you really try to start to lay the foundation and then you build. And my challenge to them is that, how can you be purposeful in your employment? Then always think about what can you contribute, where by the time you leave, there's something that you look back and say, okay, for this organization, this is what I've done, and this is what I contributed before you move on. And not like look back, I didn't really do much. I just got another offer, gave me another $1,000 and I just moved. Then you won't find yourself very purposeful. Sometimes,
True.
right? Sometimes if you don't build, you don't start to know exactly your contribution for each organization, then you're just wandering around. Yeah.
I think it's good advice. Hard to listen when you are 22, but you will be happy to have listened to it when you are 32 or 42.
Yeah.
Okay. What do you think, what type of profiles our industry, let's say supply chain logistic industry, or shipping only if you want, what profiles do we need more of compared to today? It's an open question. So
Yeah, it is. Well, the industry is changing a lot. I mean, maybe maritime industry has not moved as fast as it should, right? Just as supply chain industry, they have not moved as fast as it should. But because the overall business climate is dynamic, so we need people who are more entrepreneurial in their mindset, in their outlook. Entrepreneur in the sense that the way they solve problems, it cannot be the traditional sequential kind of thing. You have to be prepared to try new things. You have to be prepared to see same things, but used in different settings. And I think entrepreneur mindset is important. Yeah. To think out of the box. I know sometimes it sounds very cliche, but a lot of times new products are not necessarily the outcome of new discovery of technology. Very often new products is a rehashing of old technology but put in different formats for different purpose. And I think and one of the attitude that is important in our workforce is that they must be prepared to experiment, be willing to try and experiment and not be afraid to fail. But of course, a lot of times our staff are afraid of fail because we as leaders are not prepared for them to fail. Right? Because we find that failure is a waste of time. It takes up a lot of resources and we're not prepared to allow them. And because of that, all of us hold back.
Yeah.
And I think this is not very helpful. I think my issue with many organizations today, even the one that I'm working with right now, too much of focus on KPIs and ROI
Yeah.
that stifle the ability to innovate and to be willing to try new things. And sometimes we even do things in a very altruistic stance. Everything that we do in today's context, it must justify the resources that you use. But sometimes you must be prepared to put in resources or put in time, even though it's not mainstream, in order to fuel that the energy of creativity and even willingness what will come in. Not everything should be measured or quantified by just ROI or KPI, to me.
Yeah.
Learning especially, right? I mean, if you want to measure the effectiveness of learning, not that we shouldn't, we can, but sometimes there's always the nuances of learning that contribute to the overall learning culture. And when there's an overall learning culture, then the workforce become more agile and more flexible, right? So sometimes that kind of building up and nurturing the learning culture takes time. And you may have to spend a lot of time putting them to training and exposing them to training that they start to realize the importance of training.
Yeah. I've been around the block also a little bit, so I don't think it's specific to a company. I think our industry in general is a low margin industry. Bear in mind the last 4 years, and it's I think it's hard for management to grant this flexibility that you need if you want to invest in workforce and have them more creative, etc. It must be a hard conversation to have with the board when you say, I'm going to have buffer in my workforce because I want to develop them and ultimately I know I will reap benefits, but next 3 years we are planning to lose 100 million a year, right? I mean, I think it's a difficult conversation. I'm not saying it's forgiven, but it's tough. The point I would like to discuss with you is I agree that KPI is applied a bit too much. Maybe in Singapore, so quite specifically, but I think in many countries. I'm also not a fan, to be honest, and tell me what you think about those OKR. OKRs for me is the wokeness of KPI. KPIs were they are too rigid, they are too right side of the equation, and then this new age, sorry, I'm a bit judgmental for a second, I'm opinionative for a second, OKRs where, you should realize an overall objective, but there's no number, don't worry, and it's more a mindset or an attitude that you should have. I'm not saying that the objective of the OKR of setting more the mindset and the overall goal is not good, but I think that to replace KPI with that entirely, to me, doesn't guide an employee that maybe is not knowing where they should be focusing on.
Yep.
What do you think of OKR versus KPI?
I agree with you. I don't think we should go to the extreme ends. Right? It should not be so polar in that sense. Right? It's either this or that. And of course, in an organization, resources are always scarce. So you want to be optimal in distributing the resources, and the necessary evil of that optimization will then be about measuring the outcome. Right? You want to put resources in the right places where you can generate the best outcomes. So then measuring effectiveness always will come into a picture. And sometimes KPIs and ROIs and things like that helps us to be more accountable in the things that are entrusted to us. Right? So become more accountable, become more disciplined. I think those are important things. It's just that in an organization, I think it's also important while we do this well, we must also be very intentional in putting aside certain resources just for the purpose of experimenting. Resources that will allow the workforce to try things that are very different from mainstream, because it's only out of this intentional approach, right, can you then discover new product pipeline or service pipeline. I mean, very similar to what 3M did with the 15% time, or Google with their 20% time where they set aside where staff are allowed to brainstorm things that are not even related to their mainstream, their job description. And that's how Gmail came about, you know. So I think that part is still important.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But we shouldn't go either or, right?
Yeah.
If you go either or, then I mean, life is actually a lot of times both and. How do you achieve both, right? I hold you accountable. I also give you a leeway, right? I think this is where the wisdom of the senior management must come with the picture, right?
Agree. I think an enemy of wisdom is a scale. It's easy to be wise when you are, having a team of 3, 5, 30 people, 50 people. I'm imagining, because I have no idea, but I'm imagining it's harder when you are a CEO of thousands of people to maintain unity, cohesion, wisdom, fairness at all level. When at the same time you're pushing your head of costs to reduce costs, your head of volume to drive volume, your head of HR to train, but not too expensively. I mean, it's you want everything, right? As you said, it's and rather than all. I think scale to me is a challenge. And I mean, you have been entrepreneur, have not, but I feel that at least in my endeavors, even in corporate environment where I set up projects or new things and we try to develop and do that in-house, I can because I have this proximity to the staff, I have this small scale still attitude, right? But I don't see how we can move a company like that.
I guess we, as leaders, we have to be consistent. We have to know what is the end game, and with that, as the directions to help us then to prioritize. I think that part, but sometimes some leaders there's this tendency to be inconsistent. And sometimes we are easily swayed. Maybe we are swayed because we have a board that asks us questions, and therefore we just want to get the monkey off the back, right? And then we just
the monkey.
Yeah,
I get you. All right. I have a tradition in this format, which is I'm going to ask you the question from the previous guest. So each guest leaves a question for the next. They don't know at the time who is the next guest, right? So it's really a genuine question. The question goes like this. Actually, the question was asked to me, but then it goes against the tradition. So I'm also asking it to you. I will also answer it in another format, but I would like to ask it to you. So the question is actually from Aryo Chia, and a young Singaporean, right? Also a scholarship. He is asking, what does success means to you? What is success in your definition? Victor,
what is success in
what is success in your definition?
This is a very big question. Yeah. The tendency is always that, even for myself, sometimes I like to see success being quantified by the amount of money that I can earn.
Okay.
To be honest, right?
Yes.
Yeah. But over the years, I also realized that that way of measuring success is a little bit shallow.
Okay.
Because, yes, money is definitely one way to measure how successful you are. But more importantly, the one that gave me the greatest satisfaction is how, because of my role, my leadership, or my presence, someone's life get better. I think to me that is success, right? And I often derive more satisfaction when someone say, Victor, because you said this thing and it has since become, a North Star for me.
Yes.
And I've shared with my children how my friends told me this, and that has been inspiring, and they use that to inspire their next generation. I think that to me is success, and that kind of success to me is more meaningful and more fulfilling. Yeah. So I move away, as long as making reasonable income to be able to support my family, support myself. I think that in itself is good enough, right? More important is that today, when I'm no longer here, will someone miss me, right? And I think that would be a good benchmark.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks for sharing. All right. A few short questions, calling for a yes, no, or one word answer.
Okay.
You can also skip.
Okay.
Okay? We try. Is pineapple on pizza legit?
Is pineapple
Pineapple on a pizza, is it a legit thing?
Yeah, legit. Yes.
Shipping will reach net zero by 2050.
2050.
2050.
Yes.
What's your favorite movie?
Saving Private Ryan.
Love it. Do you think that today India can be a relevant industrial and logistic competitor to China? I mean, you have huge expectation on India. Yes, no, one word.
No.
Okay, last question. It's actually a dual question. If you were a port, which one would you be?
Shanghai.
Okay, follow-up question. Why?
Because that is the emerging, or that is the economy that is getting more and more influential. And that's where eventually that will be a center of all activities.
Okay, so
Yeah.
impact. Okay, last thing, Dean. The tradition is to leave a question for the next guest. You don't know who they are, that doesn't matter. I just would like you to leave a question for the next guest to answer.
So I'm talking about investing ourselves. So so what would it mean to the individual when he says that, you know, that he's supposed to invest in himself? What would he do?
Okay, thank you. Love it. I appreciate that.
Okay.
All right.
Oh, it makes sense.
Yes, it does. Love it. Super.
Yeah.
Thank you, Dean.
Thank you. Thanks for having me here.
Of course.
Yeah, and thanks for the conversation.
Lovely. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And it might be good if we solve this now.